Hey everyone, and welcome back to Under the Brick, and today I'm going to be covering the upcoming releases for Dreamzz. Before we begin though, I quickly want to correct some information I put out there. It turns out that these three sets here aren't coming out in May. I know, sorry everyone, it was on me and everyone else really, because all of us got kind of confused and we thought the pre-order in May was for a May release, but it turns out these three sets are coming along with these ones in August. Sorry about that everyone. I've updated the description and have left a comment on the video that I did last time just saying that they will be coming out in August, and I'll probably change the thumbnail to reference that as well. If you want to hear my thoughts on those three sets, I recommend checking out that video. I'll do a quick one here. They all look pretty good still. I like the fact that we got to see what the three builds to the mech are properly. They all look really cool. I like the fact with the dinosaur we saw what was inside that sort of large brick. It turns out it's like a little garage setup, like a shipping container. I think that's quite cool. And the Raven, still pretty cool. I like the fact that we got to see the builds a bit more up close, especially that spider build that used those web pieces. Also, yes, I know this video is late. I know I got swamped down with doing the videos last week, and then these got revealed out of nowhere. There were a ton of reveals actually last week, and I'm probably not going to cover any of them because they all came out at once, and I wasn't really sure what to say about all of them. But we're here for Dreamzz, so let's have a look at them then.
It's fan art of the Oscar cat. We gave it to Oscar for Hanukkah.
And first we start off with the smallest set out of the lot, being set 71479 Zoey's Cat Motorcycle. If you don't remember this year, we've already had the cat owl build for Zoey, and this time they've done another cat build. I find it kind of curious that they've done a sort of successor to a build they've already done, and that's not even the last of it. We'll get to another set later on that sort of does similar. But here though, it's a really neat build. It's visually different from the last build and has an entirely new sort of dynamic to it, being this motorcycle element. I do really like it. The colours are very nice. It's the usual dark blue and light blue, but instead of the lightish green, it's now this coral pink, and I think that's an interesting contrast, like it's sort of an evolution in a way. Special mention up to the print up front, that is sort of the face of the cat. I do like the added detail that the eyes are sort of like headlights. I don't know, I just think that's a neat touch. There are some various stickers as well, including these little music notes inside the wheel here. And speaking of the wheels, they're the much larger plastic and rubber ones that I've been seeing in a few creator sets. Seeing them here though is kind of neat. I know, I don't really see them very often, so it's nice enough that they're in a set. The minifigures of the set as well are pretty neat. We've got Zoey and Cooper's doppelganger, and it's nice enough seeing them in a set. Interestingly though, Zoey includes that bow piece from Avatar. It made an appearance in the cat owl set, but in lightish brown, but here it's in turquoise with the same blue arrow. I think I was floating around ideas for a review of the cat owl, and I remember saying that I wish they would make that blue arrow in a different colour, like brown. I don't know, it's just more if they ever did a castle thing, they could make it in brown and they could keep that piece around. Also, special mention to the crow or raven here. There's an interesting new jar piece. I didn't mention this in my last video when I covered these, but that is a new jar piece. We've had this last one that has existed for almost 30 years at this point. It's existed for quite a while. But here it's this new jar piece that has these sort of grooves cut into the top of it. Almost like teeth. I don't know. I think some people get some use out of it. It's just sort of curious that they've made this new piece after so long. Moving on to the alt build of this set, it's this sort of jetpack-esque thing. So instead, you can either have a jetpack or a motorcycle for this cat to use, because the base build you build is this cat, and then you can have either these sort of jetpack-esque pieces that harken to how the cat had wings, I would say, or you can have the motorcycle. I'd say obviously the motorcycle is a bit cooler, but still, both of them are really neat.
I skadoosed your uncle!
And next up we have set 71480, Logan the Mighty Panda. I gotta be honest, when I first saw this, I instantly thought of Kung Fu Panda. I think a lot of people probably did. But this set is dedicated to Logan, and it goes for the sort of monster theming that's seen throughout a few of the builds in Dreamzz, like the crocodile car from last year. But here, this isn't a set entirely dedicated to his theming, and it is quite cool. We have some more dark blue here, mixed up with regular blue, and then a light sprinkling of yellow, and some more earthy tones as well. There's that interesting face piece that I mentioned last time when I saw these. I remember saying that I presume they would be using this for more stuff, and here they've used it as shoulder pads, and they've added little spikes into the holes that were left. In this set you get Logan and his doppelganger, alongside that crow or raven again with the jar, new jar piece by the way. The panda itself is a neat build. I would argue it's maybe a mech, judging from some of the pictures, though you can either have it be a mech or a living creature. I'm curious to know if this is in the show, if it will be like a living thing or a more mechanical thing, but I don't know, just judging from the pictures. And speaking of that, the builds of this set are a little bit iffy. The base build of it doesn't have the head or anything else, so it's more or less just a mech that Logan can sit in, but then you can either have the head on it and add on the various armor pieces and the gun, and that's kind of it. That's it for the build, and it's more or less just a large creature, and I do really like it, though I'm not a big fan of the second build you can do, making it go on all fours. It just looks a bit weird, like it's kind of been smushed into this sort of shape. I think they could have made it look a little bit more natural. It just looks a little bit strange at some angles, though it is a valiant effort. This build has already given me an idea for a mock, though I want to wait till I get it in hand so then I can, well, I guess you could say tinker around with it and see what I can make. The only last thing I want to comment on is this large dome piece up front, making up the head, and it's really nicely printed. The Dreamzz art team always does a really good job with sort of detailing like faces, and here it looks really good. There's a good amount of expression in its face. It kind of reminds me a little bit though of those weird gaming avatars some people have, like the Fortnite banner, it's like the cool guy gaming and it's the guy with his arms crossed and he's in the little symbol. I don't know why I jumped that straight away. The last thing on the face though is I think the ears were just a tad too small, just a tad. I don't know if there's a piece that would have been larger, but still they're just a little bit too small. The last thing I want to mention before we move on is though, it's got those larger macaroni pieces again in blue. And also on the legs, they use those little mech fingers. They also use them for, well, the fingers as well. And that's kind of it. Let's move on to the next set then. Dream. Next up we have set 71481, Izzie's Dream Animals. And this set looks lovely. It's adorable looking. It's this sort of red panda build using a whole load of those macaroni pieces, and it looks really nice. The colours on it look especially nice too. Various shades of purple and orange, and it just looks lovely. I want to bring special attention up to the head again, because it seems like a new part. At least it looks like it. I'm not sure, but it definitely is, and again it's got some really nice printing to it, giving a little face to the creature. In this set also you get, well, Izzie and her doppelganger alongside a red panda, and this, I'm not really sure about that weird little carrot guy, shroom guy, root guy, that weird thing from Harry Potter that's getting a set this year. I don't know what that is. Moving into the alt builds of the set, you have 3 different ways you can build it. First up you had the red panda, obviously, and then you have this sort of bird, and then the last build is a sea turtle. The 2 latter builds use the leftover pieces from the red panda to make various trees and foliage. They do look a little bit weird, but then at the same time it is commendable that they tried to actually make extra things out of the pieces. When you're left with the leftover pieces from one of the builds, they're kind of just floating around. Like I recently got the shark ship and there was a few pieces left over just being various beams and things, and I wasn't really sure what to do with them, so they're in a bag at the moment, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with them to make sure I can build the other one. Anyway, this set does look really cute. I'm hoping people do get their enjoyment out of it. Though I find it funny, in its sort of base state, it looks like an egg. I don't know if that was intentional, because, the concept of the egg being the basis, like the creature comes out of the egg, I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny, like when I first saw it, because it looked like an egg. I don't know. There is some really nice sticker detailing to it, though. A lot of various little splotches and things on it. Still, though, I am happy with this set, and I'm definitely thinking about picking it up. Even just for parts, a lot of the pieces in the set are unique, and even just some of the extra parts you get are really nice. And just the builds are, well, really cute. Like, they're adorable, I really like them. I'm happy enough Dreamzz is sort of experimenting around with what LEGO can do creature-wise, because up to this point, Ninjago is the only kind of theme, maybe besides Creator, that's done kind of creatures. Maybe a few licensed themes have done that, but I'm really happy Dreamzz is sort of mixing up a little bit, but still this set is really neat.
I really don't want to kill another bird this morning.
Well, don't then.
And next up we have set 71483, the Neverwitch's Nightmare Creatures. So this set kind of confuses me. When I first saw this, I was like, deja vu, because, well, we're having the larger Raven coming out along with this one. At first I was a little bit confused, but then as I saw the other builds, it kind of made a bit more sense. The smaller Raven is a choice out of 3, so you can either have this much smaller Raven alongside a few accessories, or you can have this mecha-like creature, or you can have this much larger wolf. So it's interesting enough, and I do like the fact that they've given 3 different choices. What I'm saying is, though, it's a bit weird they would advertise the Raven instead of maybe one of the other builds, because, well, if you think on store shelves, these sets will be next to each other, and I think someone would be a little bit confused that there's a smaller Raven and a much larger Raven. I won't let that distract from the fact that this is a neat set and I'm just sort of being pedantic about it. But it does look really cool though, and all 3 of the builds are really cool. The minifigures in the set are well quite neat. You get the Neverwitch herself alongside 3 of the doppelgangers of the main cast, alongside Matteo, who's just sort of on his own. I don't know if he has a fighting chance in this scenario. It's a 5 against 1 scenario. Overall, this set does look neat still. It's just a bit more confusing that they were released, well, a similar build to another build they're releasing already. And even with that, I think the bigger one is a bit cooler just because some of the pieces are a bit more interesting. Though this is still a neat build. Like, I could maybe picture this being more of an army builder like scenario where these are the sort of creatures that she employs. Well, not employs like in as a job, but I think it's more of a situation where she conjures them and then they go out into the world. I don't know if these guys would work retail is what I'm saying.
Whoopsie.
And last up, we have the largest Dreamzz set to date being set 71486 Castle Nocturnia. Someone in the comments of my last video said that Dreamzz was getting a direct-to-consumer set, and up to that point I've heard nothing about that, and I was quite intrigued. And actually seeing it, I gotta say, a little bit speechless. This set looks beautiful. I want to highlight the building technique on this set though, because I think that's the highlight. There's this interesting sort of technique they've gone for where they've built everything on its side through the use of snot. And this leads into the sort of, I guess you could say, dynamic of the set being you can have either one of the towers be the main focal point of it, depending on which way you have it facing. So if you want the sort of tan tower with the sloped roof to be the main focal point, if you have it upright, it has a set of stairs leading up to it. But then if you want the gold tower to be the main focal point, when it's face down, those stairs become sort of like a railing. And this is for some of the other parts of the set as well. There's a little waterfall that's seen next to the gold tower with a little pond underneath it. So if you have it upright, it makes up a sort of window, but then if you have it facing down, it makes the sort of pond and waterfall. Same goes for the tree as well, making up a sort of riverbed almost. And I think that's a really clever bit of building on Lego's part. And as my uncle would say, this is more of a mock than an actual set. The minifigures of this set are your standard. It has that old lady again with a new face print. Mateo's there with a new torso print, and you get some of their doppelgangers as well, alongside this sort of manticore, that's fine enough, though it has a weird thing going on where this sort of dome-like pieces on each side are coloured differently on the box. They have this sort of iridescent look to them on the box, but then in actual pictures they're just more translucent yellow. I don't know if it's just the Photoshop job leading to that, though it is a bit weird. Both of the builds this set as well highlight different parts of each tower, though the first one highlights all three quite evenly. The second build though makes the sort of gold tower the focal point, along with having two smaller towers made out of various pieces from each of them. So the sloped roof is now on the right, and then with the leftovers of the gold tower being on the left, and then the various parts of the tree making up this sort of waterfall-like element. Speaking of that as well, judging from the sort of first build you make, the tree is sort of this almost waterfall-like thing, and it looks amazing. Like I mentioned with the stairs earlier, with the tree on top, it has this little stone pathway leading up to it. I gotta say, this build is incredible. It's just clever on the way how versatile it is. I'm definitely going to try and get my hands on this one. Hopefully it ends up over it. And that's all the new releases coming for Dreamzz in August. And I gotta say, Dreamzz is probably my new favourite theme. Well, it was my favourite theme, like, you know, it was maybe, you know, Monkey Kid, Ninjago, Dreamzz, but I would say maybe Dreamzz has gone above both of them because these builds are just incredible, and each time I see new ones they get better and better. Though Ninjago did have some leaks recently and they do look okay. Let me know down below if you want to hear a video on them, though I am probably going to wait till all of them are revealed because at the moment there's only 3, and the 3 look fine, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather see the rest of them to get an idea of what they're going for. And that's the video. If you want to stick around, I guess you should subscribe and leave your thoughts down below on what you think of these sets. And that's me, under the brick, saying goodbye and see you next time.